If you want to know what to do when you get really discouraging or just plain crappy feedback from your editor, stick around. That's what we're talking about. Hello, hello. As you guys are joining, pop on in the chat. Let me know your name, where you're coming from. Let me know if you're new. If you're new to this broadcast, type new so I can say hi. And if you're on the replay, did you know you can still tap hearts? It's awesome. If you like what we're talking about, go ahead and tap the screen and you can give hearts just like everybody else. So welcome guys as we're joining. Thank you, thank you. Mike 13, you're new. You're new. What's your name? Where are you coming in from? I try to be kind. I try not to give crappy, discouraging advice. France, nice. Hey Miguel. Yes, but it is often a problem. Not everyone is kind and encouraging, even if they're giving good feedback. So, and let me know what you write. What you write. Mike 13 from France, and someone else new popped in the room too. We have several new people. I hope this means that you new people are not getting crappy feedback from editors. I really hope so. I hope this is a preventative scope and not a post-traumatic stress disorder scope, because that would be very sad. So yes, welcome to the scope. Hello, Charles. Where have you been? You're not British. I don't know why I said that. You're from Brazil, right? I believe. It's been a while. Hi, I know, new people. Welcome, guys. Okay, so let me give y'all the rundown. If you like what we're talking about, you tap hearts. That is a way to let me know that you are engaged and you're physically there and makes me happy. And if you know someone who is going through the editorial process or just getting feedback on stuff, oh, thanks for those hearts. I think that's Miguel. Share out. Share, swipe, and share on Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, and help your friend out and help your friend figure out how to deal with that kind of feedback. And oh, that's okay, Charles. You don't have to make every scope. You know where the replays are. And speaking of, if I take scope notes for you and I post them on the website. My website is paperravenbooks.com/Periscope is where the notes and the replays and the transcripts, well, transcripts are coming soon. Hey, Ron's in the room. If you are a scoper and a writer, use our hashtag Periscope Writers so we can find you and support you and heart you up and get to know you. So use that hashtag. Alrighty, guys. Let's get this rolling. Oh, I am Morgan Gist McDonald. I am a writing coach, editor, and author. Charles, am I not following you on Periscope? Okay, send me a tweet at Morgan G. Mac and remind me. Yes, because I do want to follow you. I can't believe I'm not already following you. I want to do that. Yes, I'm a writing coach, editor, and author, so I have been on both sides of the editorial table, so to speak, and I also work with authors throughout the manuscript, so I have a lot of perspectives on this feedback process. Oh, yep, Ron is following Charles. Nice. We are a great community, folks. We are a very cool writing community, I have to admit. I like being part of us. It's good. Okay. So, my website and blog are at paperravenbooks.com. All right, let's get into it. So what do you do when you get discouraging and or just plain crappy feedback from your editor? Okay, I will go ahead and say, read through all of the feedback, take a deep breath, take 24 hours if you need. Just kind of like sit and process and let like any emotion sort of roll through you, because when you write, you're super vulnerable, and any kind of feedback, even if it's like pretty neutral feedback, is going to feel super negative at first. I mean, I know this from both sides of the table. When I sent my book off to be edited and it came back like all marked up, I was like, dang it, I'm a terrible writer. Nothing's ever going to be okay again. You know, just like lots of sort of emotions roll through you. And you just gotta let that process happen. It's totally fine. You're a normal human being. So give yourself a little bit of time before you react. So don't, oh, thanks for sharing out, Ron. So don't react immediately. Don't send any emails. Don't hop on the phone. Don't ping them on Skype. Just like let it sit for just a little bit. Oh, thanks, Ron. All right, so that's kind of like step number one, is like chill. Okay, step number two is really try to evaluate the feedback. Miguel, I did edit my own book, of course, but you can't, it's almost like having a surgeon trying to perform surgery on yourself. You just can't do it. You know, you need someone else's eyes and brain on there. Hey, Joanne. So you can't fully, completely edit your own stuff any more than a surgeon can operate on themselves. My title is one character too long for Twitter. Oh, drat. Good to know, though. I hadn't even considered that. I will now in the future. Okay, so, where was I? Sorry, guys. It's Friday. It's Friday. You edited your own book? You have an editor, though, don't you? The other day, you said that you were just getting off the phone with your editor. But yes, you should. Everyone who writes their own book should edit their own book. If you're like me, you edit it multiple times. But in the end, you always send it off for feedback, some sort of feedback. Oh, you edited my title. Oh, thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. Okay. So let those emotions roll through you, and then evaluate the feedback itself. Is the feedback truly like neutral? Are there positive? Here's my question. Does the editor say anything positive? If the editor says nothing positive about your book, ditch them. Don't work with them anymore. Your writing is too important and too vulnerable to be trusted with someone who can't find anything nice to say, to be perfectly honest. I mean, that's sort of a simple way to put it, but when you are evolving in your writing craft, you have to have support. And that includes positive emotional support. And an editor should always be an editor should not be the problem. The editor should help you solve problems in your manuscript. So when the editor points out a problem, it should not be in a negative, critical way. It should be in a, hey, this is a problem. Let me offer some suggestions. If there is nothing constructive, or there are not suggestions and there's not encouragement, that person is not worth working with anymore, and you should not feel the least bit guilty about ditching them and finding another editor. So don't ever feel like you are trapped in a relationship with someone who is negative and has a dark cloud hanging over your writing, because writing is hard enough. You really don't need a negative influence from your editor. Okay, so I did want to go ahead and just put that out there, that there's no one perfect way to edit a manuscript, and if you feel like the editor didn't do a great job, take what advice you can from them and then move on, find someone new. That's always, always an option. Okay, but assuming that the editor did a decent job and had some encouragement and some constructive criticism and fixed some things in there for you, it's going to be difficult to go back through and make those changes. So, have that decompress time. And then I recommend reading through just like everything all at once, but not fixing anything at first. Just like reading through everything. And then you're going to have to think about the fact that when you go back into revisions, you have like a little tank of energy and motivation. You need to think about where you're going to use your energy and motivation first. So I recommend going to the most difficult parts of the manuscript and editing those areas first. If that means, like I just finished up the other day, sent out my edits on a dissertation that was 6 chapters long, and I told her when she's going back in, start with chapter 4. I know that's like smack dab in the middle, but that's where everything comes together. So you need to use what energy and motivation you have when you are freshest on the most difficult part of the manuscript, because that's where it all is going to come together. Someone take a photo? That was weird. Ron, what did you do? This little camera popped up on my screen. It was wiggling on its way up. I don't know what that was. Okay, Charles, yeah, I'll see you later. So use your energy and come back to the most difficult part of the manuscript, and then start working through one edit at a time. Now I'm on Twitter. Did you take a picture? Well, that's interesting. Okay, now I'm going to have to come into your scope and start taking pictures of you. When you've got the weird freeze frame, no, you're going to make that face, and I'm going to take a picture of it. That's what's going to happen. Okay, but thank you for catching a smile and not a weird face. I have discovered from looking at these freeze frames that I make a lot of strange faces, but it's totally okay. I was going somewhere with this. Start in the middle and work your way through every single edit. And try to separate out, there's going to be 2 categories of edits, hopefully. There's going to be a category that's like the nitpicky stuff, like put a comma, they'll insert a comma. They'll change around, maybe put the end of the sentence at the beginning of the sentence and put a comma, right? So like little structural things like that, those I would mostly leave unless you have a really good reason not to leave those. So kind of go through the changes that the editor made, and for the most part, I would recommend accepting those because they're just grammar stuff. Usually fairly basic, unless you have a good reason not to. But then there's like bigger edits or not bigger, but like broader, like where you're kind of stepping back and looking at the structure. And hopefully your editor has some comments there too. Those are the ones you're going to really want to delve into, and the editor may not have the perfect suggestion for you. So the editor may highlight a paragraph and say, this doesn't totally make sense. Miguel, can you put me in writer group on Twitter with my new handle? Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. I will do that. I gotta follow Charles and put Miguel in the Periscope writers group. Thank you. When the editor highlights a sentence or paragraph and says, this isn't working for me, maybe, and then offers a suggestion, you don't necessarily have to take that suggestion. What the editor is doing for you is pointing out a place where there's a problem, but it is your job to figure out how to fix that problem because it's your writing. And so this is where you really step up and own the fact that this is your writing. So an editor may be able to offer some suggestions, but mostly you need to take this as an indication that there is a problem that you as the author have to go back and address. So ultimately, what I would really like to encourage you to take away from this is that even when you send something out to be edited, it is ultimately your work. You are still the one who is responsible for it. And so you kind of got to step up and say, okay, here are some areas where there are some problems. I'm going to figure out the best way to fix those problems. And if there's anything you don't like, change it back. And if you don't like the editor, ditch them and get a new one. Maintain control over your manuscript, your words, your message. Because a lot of people, I think, when they hand their manuscript over to an editor, they're like, I don't know, it's in the hands of God now, whatever you want to do with it. But that's not the attitude you should have. Maintain an attitude of agency, of deliberation and determination, and that this is still your work. The editor's going to have suggestions, but you still got to step up to the plate and make your book actually polished and ready to go. So that's really my encouragement for you. I'm not trying to let the editor off the hook, but I am trying to motivate you to remain encouraged that even if an editor finds lots of stuff that they suggest, it's still your book. Ultimately, and I think in yesterday's script someone asked, between an editor and an author, who wins the argument? And it's the author. It's you. It's your book. Write it the way you want to write it. But make sure that other people have read it and you have other input. Okay, so you're not writing in a vacuum, but you have other people's feedback. You take it into consideration, and then you make the ultimate decision because this is your book. Thank you guys for the hearts. That's my message for you. I hope that this weekend you get to do some writing. Is anyone going to be doing some writing this weekend? Type in the chat. Type in the chat, yes, if you are doing writing this weekend. Thank you, Jen. Are you doing some writing too? I want to see who's doing some writing. Joanne's doing some writing. I like that. I'm doing some writing. Miguel is doing some writing on fire. Don't set your thumbs on fire. Ron is doing some writing. Ron is always writing. I don't know how you write so much. It's awesome. But it's kind of crazy. But good. In a good way. Alrighty, guys. Sort of. Okay. Writing ideas and notes does count. But just, Jen, are you doing some free writing? Because, I like free writing. Ron, do y'all write, do y'all type or do you write with pen and paper? Just curious. I don't even know hardly how to write with pen and paper. I take notes when I'm talking to people on the phone, and they're so messy. I'm like, you know how long it took me to write this in a legible way? Joanne types, Miguel does both. It's like I can't handwrite anymore. Ron types. Yeah. I'm just curious. Alrighty, guys. Thank you. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Do lots of writing. Jen, taking notes and writing out ideas totally counts. Just set some time aside. Alrighty, guys. Bye.